are you enjoying the wallpaper and the like?
Shailene, hi, over
Hey.
stage left. And there have been a few references in this press conference to another dystopian movie about an empowered young woman. And
Ferngully?
and there was
That must be what you're talking about.
there was a report online actually that Jennifer Lawrence urged you to take this role, and I'm wondering if that's true and you can speak to it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we had one conversation. I still have yet to meet Jen, which is kind of funny because I'm talking about her so much right now. But yeah, I sent her an email and I was just curious, she had gone from doing indie films to doing Hunger Games, which is a giant film, obviously. And I wondered if it had changed her life in positive ways, if she was happy with her decision, if just sort of what that looked like, because I had zero reference to what a studio film would feel like in my personal life. So I asked her, and she said, yeah, don't do anything stupid, don't do drugs, and don't make a sex tape, and don't go to Whole Foods the day the movie opens. And other than that, you'll be fine. She was like, there can be some hard things that come with a decision like this, but the amount of beauty and positivity that come with it will transcend any of the other situations.
Okay. Could you identify yourself for you? We can all of us before we just make sure she knows. Go ahead. You are.
Okay, what are you saying? What?
We'll just go around and say names.
Say what? Hi.
Hey.
I'm trying to find out if you feel that you're very much like her, and how are you different? I mean, I'm sure you're like her in many ways, because I know you can be tough and everything when
like
you have
Triss?
to. Yeah,
or like
Triss. How are you like Triss, and how are you think you're very, very different?
Oh wow, that's a good one. I a lot of who Triss is resonated with me because I felt like when I was her age, maybe 17, 18, I was sort of going through the struggle of I was raised by two psychologist parents who are the most beautiful, selfless people I've ever met. And so compassion and empathy were two things that as a young child were ingrained into my system, which is such a lovely gift because I feel like those are two lessons that often don't get learned till later on in life. But as a teenager, I was like, my struggle was how do I balance being empathetic and being compassionate towards my peers and also living my life for myself and not basing my decisions on those around me and really live a life that I receive my happiness from my own experience rather than from people pleasing or whatnot. And so Trish sort of goes through that as well. She was raised in a society where she had to be, or in a faction where she had to be selfless, and yet she joins this other faction, which is all about sort of being selfish. And she has to find the balance between that. So I feel like I went through something similar. So that's how I relate to her, as well as just being a very strong, empowered woman. I feel very strong, and I live my life with a lot of integrity based on what I want for my life and who I am. And I think Trish is similar. As far as being different, Trish has really long hair, and it's blonde, and I don't anymore. So I guess that's a difference. I don't know. That was an awful joke. I don't know. I feel like we're actually very similar. I don't think there's a lot of differences between us.
I was just Angela Dawson, Front Row Features.
Hey.
And I was going to ask you, there's a little anecdote in here about you going on this little survivalist journey just on your own, not even related to preparing for this film or anything. And I was just wondering for you, what did you get out of that? And, how long do you think you could make it on your own?
Survive? I hope a long time. This earth is exciting, and there's so many things happening. Survival skills. I started studying indigenous cultures a few years ago, and I was really inspired by their lifestyles and the way that they lived. And part of that was knowing how to survive in the wild and knowing how to heal themselves from the plants that grew around them. And that's how I became interested in wilderness skills. So I started studying herbalism, and I started studying edible plants that existed in the wild. And then I realized, okay, cool, so I know how to make fire out of sticks, and I know how to build shelter, but I live 90% of my life in an urban environment, so these skills aren't really going to help me because there aren't trees that grow in Los Angeles that I can just take a branch and make fire out of, because that wood isn't conducive for that. So I started learning urban survival skills, like if something, during Hurricane Sandy, I had a friend who was living in New York, and for a week she was like, I didn't have any water for a week, and I didn't know what to do. We sort of freaked out, and we were standing in lines for hours just to get a bottle of water. And that was sort of terrifying to think like, oh wow, everything it's easy right now. You turn on the shower, you do whatever, but especially right now with the drought in California, right? There's so many resources that we're depleting so quickly. And so I thought it would be an interesting skill set to have, to know if something were to go down, or even if it weren't. It's not like post-apocalyptic sort of idealism. It's more just like a fun hobby. What would I do if A, B, and C were to happen? It's kind of fun.
Hi, Jamie Philbrick. I'm Rogue.com. You work with two great seasoned actresses in this film, Ashley Judd and Kate Winslet. What was that experience like for you, and what did you learn from them as an actress?
It was amazing. I mean, Ashley and I we're both sort of very kindred spirit, and Kate as well. So we sort of all connected on that level. But one thing that I thought was so neat about them is they're both so empowered. Like, they're both women. They are like a woman among women, and strong, and live their life with integrity. And also, one thing that I found so profound about both of them, but specifically with Kate, just because we talked about it so much, was that she loves the art of acting. She loves being on a movie set. She shows up early. She knows her lines. She shows up with questions to ask the director to enhance the movie, to bring about more awareness to certain situations. She's never in her trailer. She lives, whether it's hanging out with the actors or hanging out with the craft service dude or the transpo guys, she's just a citizen of the set. And as obvious as that may seem, I feel like a lot of actors sort of 2 hours after you get there already complaining about being there, and you're like, well, then why don't you go do something else? Like, we're kind of lucky to have this life and do what we do. And Kate fully knows that, and so she brings this sense of enthusiasm and excitement to a film set, which is so special and seems so like it should be obvious and that everyone should do that, but that's just generally not the case.
Hi, my name is Cassandra. I'm from Kids Pick Flicks.
Hey.
And in the beginning of the movie, not everyone knows or can see that Triss is Divergent. So I was wondering, for you personally, what is something that people don't see or know about you?
I feel like we should ask those 4 people back there who know me really well. What is something that... oh, man. I feel like I'm kind of an obvious person. I don't really have, I like to keep, some things in my life sacred, like keep the sacred sacred. But apart from that part of my life, I'm a very open person. So I feel like what you sort of see right now is kind of who I am always. Maybe I guess that's different. That's diverging.
Hi.
Hey.
So the producer said you actually climbed the Ferris wheel. No
We
stunt
did.
People involved. Are you a fearless person? And was there any accidents on the set since you get beat up a lot?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely did get some black and blue bruises and have a few scars on our bodies still. But, Theo always says, he's like, if you do stunts or if you do a big action movie and you don't walk away a little banged up, then you're doing something wrong. So there's that. And yeah, the Ferris wheel was super fun. I mean, we got to climb the Navy Pier Ferris wheel. I don't think anyone's probably ever done that before. And we got to climb it during the full moon last year, and it was also a super moon. I don't know if anyone's into astrology, but that was really exciting for me. And so we got to watch the moon sort of cascade across the sky as we were climbing up and down this Ferris wheel. Oh, it was gorgeous. It was so beautiful. No, I am afraid of heights, but it's like that sort of fear. I love adrenaline, and so like that adrenaline, got me excited to keep going. And also we were hooked up. We literally could have fallen off the side of it and been fine. But yeah, it was fun. The 20-degree weather, that was the hardest part, I think. It was freezing.
Hi, Shailene.
Hey.
Congratulations on this. You really are just so fantastic in the film.
Thank you.
Following up on that, kind of with the stunts, I had quite a few sweaty palm moments. It's very visceral, the action. So what, if that didn't scare you, was there anything that gave you just that kind of rush, sweaty palms, here we go. And also, because the story is so much about making choices, finding that place where you're supposed to fit in and really belong and contribute, how difficult of a decision was it for you that, yes, acting, Hollywood is the life I want to pursue, and do you feel like you're making the contributions that you want to make, that you fit in the way that you want to?
Yeah. Just to clarify, I never thought Hollywood is the life I want to do. I thought acting is the life I want to do. And I feel like, yeah, I never, it's not even that. I started acting when I was 5, so I've been doing it for 17 years, which is crazy to think about. But it's always been something that was really fun for me and a really, really fun, it was a passion project in a way, and it still is. And even though it's a career now because it takes up all of my time, really, it's something that I enjoy doing. And the day that that fun disappears, if that day ever comes, then I'm not going to do it anymore, because I feel like at the end of the day, as much as entertaining as movies are, when you're a part of them in a way, it's this beautiful art form, and that's what it feels like for me. I'm not a painter, but I can express myself visually in a way that allows me to sort of artistically create. And then the sweaty palm thing, yes, the fight scenes are so intense, specifically the one with Theo at the end of the movie. That dude, he boxes in real life, and he's strong and not afraid to be strong. And so, if I forgot to duck at the right time, or if I moved left instead of moving right, he would have decked me and I would have been out cold. And so that was a terrifying fight scene where my palms were sweaty and my adrenaline was spiked the whole time, because we were moving so quickly, and we learned the fight. I learned the sequence that morning, and we filmed it a few hours later. And so we really had to be on top of our toes, because he's intense, and I wanted it. He makes it look amazing, but also at the same time, you're like, oh wow, we're acting, but this is kind of real right now.
Hey, Shailene, Joel Amos from MovieFanatic.com.
Hey.
My question is, what was it like to work with Miles again after The Spectacular Now? But how was it different? Because this time, he's kind of your antagonist.
Yeah, no, it was so fun. I mean, have you guys talked to Miles? Are you gonna talk? Okay, so he's like the funniest person you've ever met, right? And he's so great, and we sort of have an amazing sibling relationship. So when you go to do a new movie, you're surrounded by 300 new people in a new city, and you sort of get thrown into it. And with a movie like this, because it was a studio film, there's more than 300 people involved. And so to have somebody that I knew already sort of be that rock and that have that comfortability factor involved, it was really nice. And also, I've got his back, he's got my back, so that felt good, even though we didn't have to use that, which is lovely. But I knew that there was somebody there who supported me, and I supported him. And then it was fun to sort of have these scenes where we got to go against each other. Specifically, the fight scene was fun, because I remember actually sort of feeling hurt when he was like saying things that were rude during the scene, and I was like, dude, like, I'm your sister, you can't say stuff like that to me. And then afterwards, I went up to him and I was like, I hope we're okay, and I hope there's nothing, going on. And he's like, Shay, we're just acting, come off it.